Hi guys. So this week my project is to create a pad for my cat's kennel. So this is the kennel where I keep my cat during the day when I'm at work. Just a safe place so he can be. So if maintenance enters my apartment, I don't have to worry about my cat escaping. And right now what I'm using is a towel for the bottom, and the towel really isn't a good fit at all, quite honestly. And I like how the towel is soft and padded, but it's just not working out. It's just not a good size at all. So I went looking on Amazon to see if there was some different pad options, and of course you can get a pad any size. You know, Amazon is a great place to do some shopping, but I was looking at the prices and thinking I usually swap out the towel a few times a week, because it gets kitty litter and other things on it. So to keep it clean, I usually about 2 to 3 times a week I swap out the towel. So I didn't want to buy multiple pads because that gets really expensive, even for the $20 variety. So I was thinking about what I currently have, and what I currently have is a lot of fabric. I've always got a fabric stash. So this is what I came up with, is putting together a little quilt. So I had all of the fabric. The only thing I had to purchase was some batting for the middle layer to make it soft. So these are the fabric pieces that will be on the top, and I cut them out into 5" by 5" squares. And I thought pink and purple would be a good fun color combination. So to get started, I'm putting 2 of the squares together with the right sides facing each other. And I'm using these little colorful clips, um, not only to keep the fabric together, but also to do a little bit of measuring. So when I'm using the clips, they turn out to be about a ½ inch seam allowance. So that works out really well. And the flat portion of the clip also helps when I'm doing hand sewing, just to keep the stitches straight. So these clips, I wish I had purchased them years and years ago, because they make my sewing so much easier. And for the sewing itself, what I'm doing is just a straight stitch. So I'm doing 2 stitches. And then for the next stitch, I go over the last stitch. So I think this method makes it for a little bit of a sturdier stitch. So they just stay in place. And I'm using the flat edge of the clip really to make sure that it's gonna be a straight stitch. You know, so it's not gonna get crooked on me. So these clips are really helpful for my hand sewing. And the clips are just so much nicer than straight pins. You know, straight pins, you have to pierce through the fabric. And I know it doesn't, the straight pins don't leave little holes everywhere, but it's so much easier just putting a clip on the fabric. You know, you don't have to pierce the fabric, and the clips can easily be moved around. Just so much easier. So when I have five squares that I've sewn together, then I sew up two of the rows together. So, and I just use some clips again just to clip them together. And I'm basically using the same methodology that I used in sewing the squares together. So, and after I've got all of the rows sewed together, I sewed about 7 rows together. And very, very easy stitching them together. And here's what they look like when they've all been stitched together. Just a buffet of purple and pink is what that turned out to be. And then I used an iron just to press the seams open, just so the fabric is gonna lay really, really nice on the batting and just make it a little bit easier. So this is the batting that I'm using. About a yard. And there's my cat Timmy. He loves the plastic. So I'm using some cotton just to make sure it's really gonna be fluffy. And the bottom layer of the quilt, I'm using this fabric that has Holly Hobby all over it. I love Holly Hobby, and I thought it would just be a fun backside for the quilt. So I've got the batting in the middle. I've got the Holly Hobby material on one side. I've got the quilted side on the other, and I'm just folding the different fabrics down. And after I put all the pieces together, I did use some straight pins just to make sure the different fabrics weren't gonna move around before I could get the clips on them. So I did end up using some straight pins. And for the stitching on the outside, I'm just using a loop kind of stitch. So just making some really tiny little stitches on the edges just to keep everything in place. And these stitches on the ends, they're gonna be the most time consuming portion of the quilt. But these stitches are gonna be really sturdy, and I know they're not gonna come apart. Even if my cat decides to play with the quilt, which he will. So in the bottom of my cat kennel, there's a mouse that hangs down. So he's got something he can play with. So he likes to just lay on the quilt and bat his mouse around. So this quilt needs to be really durable, so it doesn't fall apart when he's playing. And for the very last step in the quilt, I'm going to be doing some stitching on each of the corners of the quilt. So I've got my needle on the bottom side of the quilt, and I'm just pushing the needle through just to make sure that all of the different layers are connected to each other, just so it's one uniform quilt. So I'm just doing a few stitches on each of the corners. Just so when it's being washed, the batting doesn't come loose and get rumpled. Just so it can survive all the wear and tear that it's gonna get over its life. And then you're just tying a knot on the bottom side of it. And here's the quilt again, all done. I like how it's fluffy. It's got some nice padding. So it's soft when my cat jumps down from the upper levels, and I've got it kind of positioned up on the crate a little bit, just so it can catch all the cat litter that it needs to. And that is my cat quilt project. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you have a great week.